Hello and welcome to Monarchist Minute, your royalist news and monarchism in the United States of America. I am Vice Chancellor Clements Magnolia. Here with me, I have two of my very good friends, our head of HR, Thomas Brightsworth.
Hello, Clemens. Good to be back on again.
It's great to have you on. It's been a while. And of course, one of my favorite guests and a regular, we have Watercube.
Ooh, hello everyone.
Hello. It's great to have everyone on tonight. Same old with me and Waterkey, but we finally got Thomas finally able to come back on. Schools.
No, yeah, dude, college has been really busy, but it's been really good. I've met a couple monarchists, and they're very interested in politics and religion like I am, so we're not fun at parties. All right.
Good for you. Now, I know the day we're recording this is the 31st of August, which means is it tomorrow or Monday?
Monday's Labor Day.
Monday is, of course, Labor Day, the day of honoring labor, in which we don't have school.
I do.
We don't have it's like a bank. Is it a bank holiday?
School.
I don't know,
I
actually.
have school on Labor Day, unfortunately.
It's like this Labor Day is kind of a phony one, a little bit low-key.
Yeah,
because we only picked this day to not be connected to the socialist working movement internationally.
Yeah, it's hilarious because almost every other country has it on like May something.
It's May Day. It's the 1st of May.
Yeah, it's May Day. Yeah, May Day is Labor Day, but for some reason in the U.S. of course we're like, no, we can't be connected to the socialists, so we have
the real May Day. The real
True,
American May Day.
so true.
America, literally.
We are exceptional.
We are exceptional. That's why we changed the entire system of math, because we want to be different.
It's because we're traditional. But
we're traditional, but not European traditional. We start our own traditions and we stick to it.
Neurotically stick to them.
Neurotically stick to the traditions we made up. No, but it's sad that William cannot be here.
William's big on labor.
I know. I was really hoping he could come on.
No, remember. Sorry, dang it. I'm sorry, I'm hungry.
Dude's making me crave a sandwich. I have to fast for mass tomorrow, and I'm going to think about this the whole time.
I thought the rule was like 2 hours before.
Technically 1 hour before the Eucharist, but I like to self-mortify as a good Catholic should.
Just do flagellations. Seize your route.
I'll write that
down. I was about to say that you have to remember that Will is labor. He actually works as a blue-collar worker. He works in a washing machine factory.
Yeah, no, he's true proletarian, unlike me, like downwardly mobile petty bourgeois.
Yeah.
No, and I remember specifically, me and Will talked about it a little bit, where basically he actually was the one who told me this, and I discovered it later on, that one of the monarch's main social roles was to defend the lower states from the higher ones and to protect their rights, which I found very interesting. And I think that may be why Will is mainly a monarchist. I can only theorize.
Well, it's like a kind of a good position to take. Like, let's just say you have a corporative system, and having a monarch who is above both bourgeois and proletariat in class stasis, like that person's in the most optimal position to make a fair deal between the bourgeois and proletariat.
Yeah, and that's why I think Dante's argument for absolutism is pretty good, even though he's a heretic, is because he says if the emperor owns every single bit of land and wealth, he doesn't want for anything. And that could work specifically in this workers argument. But sorry, Watercube, could you give us a brief rundown of Labor Day in America? I think if we can get the history behind it, we can start debating about it or talking about it a little more.
I'm not 100% familiar with the history behind Labor Day. I know it came about like the same ways most other Labor Days came about in labor celebrations, which was like during the 1900s, during the Gilded Age up until the early modern period with like the 1920s. We had huge unionization movements. We had a lot of struggles with labor, like with big culminations being the Battle of Blair Mountain and other major confrontations. I'm trying to remember the strike that Teddy Roosevelt had to deal with the coal miners.
Right.
Where he sent the army in. Like, there's been a lot of struggle, which eventually tends to get, like, memorialized in a day. Like, Labor Day is supposed to be the day for those who died trying to get labor legislation passed. Like, There was so many, like, there's a lot of blood that was spilt.
Yeah.
Outside of Blair Mountain, there was other things where the Pinkertons were used. There was a lot of just Joe Hill. Love him or hate him, with Joe Hill, like, he wrote a lot of songs that kind of went on to live in infamy. Same with Woody Guthrie, which were both guys on the side of unionization. Joe Hill being from the IWW, he was executed in Salt Lake City for trying to unionize the sugar workers in the area.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of death.
Yeah, the bourgeois do not like giving rights to the proletariat. And
Oh,
they
see,
will,
that's
like,
why I hate the burger class. That's why I'm going to make a joke here. Every time I play EU4, I take away their rights more than any other ones. I
well,
don't like the banker class, specifically in history.
the bourgeois and the burghers, like, they're the ones who agitated the most for liberalism. They were the ones that were kind of the vanguard of it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they promised rights to
Yeah.
everyone, and then immediately went back on that one to those who had to sell their labor to survive. And most it was trying to uplift serfs into some position where the serf would have to sell their labor instead of at least keeping some of their labor in feudalism.
I'll say that what you just said, like giving everyone rights so they can exploit it, kind of reminds you of like Syndrome from The Incredibles, but once everyone has rights, no one will, kind of thing.
I'd say, like,
And when everyone's super,
No one will be. I'm gonna make a meme about that later.
it's more like the false promise of rights. Like, you have these freedoms that, unless you were bourgeois, you would never be able to fully act on. Like, the petty bourgeois still benefited, but, like, the average person, the average serf or proletarian, they gained no real solace other than the fact, like, oh, I might not be arrested by secret police, but then get arrested by bourgeois secret police.
I guess my main thing is I have one of my many works in the files right now. I'm specifically calling it De Nobilitate because I'm a nerd like that. I'll name my articles in Latin, cope. But basically talking about nobility and why it's a good thing, and specifically the economy. The reason, when it comes to like economy and workers' rights, etc., I think we have two false extremes. We have two goods in them, but also two really bads. In feudalism, you had a social obligation to help your serf. You really did, because once he died, if you let them treat them all like crap, and no other serf's going to tie themselves to land, and so on and so forth. And basically, you had a social obligation to help them. It was very distributist in that it was very down at the lower levels. And again, that's why I argue for monarchy. It's based off the family structure. It's communal. You had more social obligation, but not legal obligation. In the modern day, we have a lot of legal obligation to help our workers, but not enough social. To where businesses will pay you as little as they can, which is still a lot in the eyes of the people, to just not sue them. And while that is good that we can easily pay to fix their health if they get hurt on the job, etc., it really takes away the humanity of it, where you just see someone as a commodity who you have to just fix in a shop. And that's where, again, it's two false extremes. I know we can never go back to feudalism. I'm not a neo-feudalist. I wish I could be, but I have to be intellectually honest. It's not going to happen. No, like, I am intellectually honest. I like feudalism. I love it. I wish it was still around, but after the Industrial Revolution, it can't. And that's where I'd say we should, again, that's where I'm more distributist. Have it done at the lower level unless the higher level needs to get involved, or the higher level has absolute, if not near absolute power on paper, but things are done at the lower levels until the higher ups are called. And I think a mixture of those social obligations and legal obligations could work great. I don't know how that would work in America, though.
Like, one thing I'd actually want to mention, this is about, like, the measly sum that they'll give someone, like, that did a lawsuit against the corporation or whatever. The other thing is to mention is wage theft, which is one of the more common crimes in the United States, mostly done by the petty bourgeois. Like, the small business owners are kind of the worst when it comes down to labor violations, where they will just do whatever they can to try to survive and oftentimes exploit their workers a lot harder than larger bourgeois corporations and conglomerates would do.
Mm-hmm.
You still have, like, the travesties that happen with Amazon and so on, which are, like, again, the human becomes a statistic in the eyes of the bourgeois institution. But then
Yeah.
again, on the local level, like someone who's working at a mom and pop shop, having their wages chiseled away and being kept on for unpaid overtime for extended periods of time are also
Yeah.
a symptom of this. There's no obligation.
I'd say with mom and pop shops or stuff like small businesses, it's really case by case. Specifically in the South, there are some like good family businesses that work really well and do their best with the people, with their workers. Then there are some that are just really terrible.
I'm
Like
just
I
running off
remember seeing
statistics.
one. Say it again.
I'm just running off the like
Oh
statistics
yeah,
on who
no,
commits
absolutely.
which crime.
Absolutely. I'm speaking from experience here, although the
Yeah.
statistics are valid. I remember one sign talking about days off and like asking for a day off, and it started literally listing a bunch of math for how many hours you work. It says I'd rather go to hell than give you a day off, which I just found disgusting. And
Yeah.
specifically with mom and pop shops, it really depends. I'd say with big corporations, it really is a problem. I'd argue it's a lot bigger because it's much higher level. And my main problem with, as you call them, the bourgeois, and unfortunately, well, actually, I find it funny. My middle name is Bourgeois. The Thomas B. Brightsworth. The B is for bourgeois, unironically.
Oh, I'm sorry. When the revolution comes, you will have to go. I'm sorry.
I will. They'll be like, you're not abusing anyone, but your middle name's Bourgeois. We kind of
It,
have to. No
it's
hard
like Pol
feelings.
Pot with the glasses. Like, don't worry about it. They're gonna
Yeah,
get you.
like, hey, we have to. Like, no hard feelings. No, but specifically, the reason I really don't like the banker class as a whole, like throughout history, is because they don't have that kind of. I would argue when it comes to the three main estates throughout history, the clergy, the nobility, and the bankers or the burghers. I'd argue that two of them have a very strong foundation, which keeps those obligations good, but the burghers have the weakest. For clergy, it is obviously they have an obligation to God. While there is corrupt clergy, there always have been. They did have a much higher fear of God in them, specifically fear of their bishops, and again, fear of embarrassment in the eyes of the people when they are discerned. For the nobility, I'd say it's more of a natural obligation to their workers and the other nobles around them and their nation. For the burghers, their main obligation and their main loyalty is to the almighty dollar. It is to that money, to the invisible hand of economy of the visible hand of the economy, and that's why I really think the Venetian Republic went downhill more than any other Catholic republic, because it was a merchant republic. They famously chanted, "I'm Venetian first, Catholic second," and almost throughout a lot of the Crusades, like the Fourth Crusade and the Battle of Lepanto, they literally sold out Christendom, and it was
Yeah.
really disgusting.
It's
That's where I argue why the burgher class in both EU4 and game and actually in real life should be the most restricted. Because if you do give them more quote unquote rights than the other states, they will naturally have a much worse progression than I would say the nobility or the clergy.
as Marx best put it, like capital tends to accumulate. The people when they are emancipated, when the bourgeois are emancipated, because I wouldn't just say this is just on the bankers, but all bourgeois, all of them like exhibit this.
Well, what do you mean by bourgeois?
I'd say
What does
like
Marx mean by it?
those who have access to capital. The like the noble doesn't actually have direct access to capital. It is a lease by their king or their duke or their whatever.
Yeah.
The serf doesn't own the capital. The peasant freeholders, they own some capital, but not enough to actually buy other people's labor in a reliable way.
It's their land and they have to pass it on just how it is.
Like bourgeois in our modern system would include people like Jeff Bezos, but then the mom and pop shop down the street would be like petty bourgeois, the lesser bourgeois, the small ones. For a while, the only bourgeois around other than like the banks that were starting to grow were the petty bourgeois. And those guys were springing up everywhere as artisans. And they all seek to grow and expand because it's not that they worship the dollar, they worship profit itself. Because like the difference is that it's not just collecting these things, it's making sure it continually goes up. Correct. It's where like Marx talks about the alienated bourgeois who eventually becomes like a Scrooge-like figure where he's clinging on to his money, wearing rags just to keep more money.
Yeah.
Like it ends up it's not just destructive externally to the society as a whole. It's a destructive internally. It rots.
Yeah. So this is where I guess my question would be to both of you. If William were here, that would be a good question to ask him. What do y'all think the best moral economy would be. I think we all believe in some realm of morality and protecting workers' rights. I hope we do. I know I do. What would y'all say the best form of economy would be? Again, a lot of people are saying we need a socialist America. A lot of people say no, laissez-faire is the best way because they believe in trickle-down economics to a T. What would you say, Watercube, is the best one?
I don't look at it from a moral point of view, more on a stability point of view, which as a byproduct tends to be moral. And I stand firmly with corporatism. Some level of class collaboration with a
You
state
described that.
intercession.
A lot of people don't really know what corporatism means. A lot of them automatically assume that corporatism is the corporations run everything.
To sum it up briefly, it's basically the idea of where you get like the bourgeois business owners and then proletarian unions and so on. They elect their respective representatives.
They're like a republic of unions, I'm guessing.
The thing
reason I
is,
say republic is because, again, republic at its very basics means non-elected. Elected non-hereditary leadership.
yeah, like these guys, this would be a republic there, but they are bringing up their actors for the state to go be their intermediary. The state sits at the table as the bourgeois and proletariat negotiate, and they make the final ruling.
Okay, so do the proletariat and the bourgeois have voting rights in this, or is it the state that basically makes the final decision?
It depends on the system. You can range from like fascistic corporatism, which is more akin to that, to like FDR's system of corporatism, where like the state is more of an advisory, where it still gives a heavy command or sometimes does take direct control.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it can range everywhere because like corporatism is not unique to really any specific ideology. You have things like ordoliberalism, which was, I believe, German, and like which caused the German economic miracle. Like corporatism takes many forms.
Okay. Clements, do you have any idea of if you could pick what economic system would work best for America?
Oh gosh. I don't really know too much about different economic systems. I'll be completely honest. I mean, I took microeconomics last semester. I'm taking macro this semester in college.
I took
don't really
economics 1000 because my school would accept it. Worst thing of my life. It went in 1 year, out the other as soon as I passed. It was painful.
I mean, I guess I lean sort of like, but I don't know. I kind of agree with the Scandinavian model.
Okay, so you're also a corporatist.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm more of a corporatist light because I still do like I like the idea of the more libertarian. Sort of like how do I say this? I don't like libertarianism, but I like some of the ideas they have. But I still believe that some of the more basic ideas that John Smith put forward were pretty good.
John Smith or Adam Smith?
Adam Smith. Dang it. I'm sorry. It's such a basic ass English name. I'm sorry.
Created capitalism by selling Pocahontas. It's confirmed.
So true. So true.
So
Really.
true.
Yeah, Adam Smith.
Disney lied to you.
Sorry.
John Smith created capitalism by
here's the
selling
thing.
Pocahontas.
Adam Smith wasn't really a libertarian either. Like that's the thing that people in America especially misconceptualize around him. Yeah. He just acknowledged capitalism as a thing that was coming about.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think that a more corporatistic model is a much better idea. But I still, I mean, I'm raised in a family that's very much pro right wing economics. Like that is the one thing my father has always saying to me. Like I tried talking with him about free healthcare, and he is very, very anti-free healthcare. Like, yeah. And my dad's not a libertarian. He is not a libertarian. But in my family, both my parents are very much pro right-wing economics.
Yeah. Like from the 60s up until the 80s, we kind of undid the whole, hey, maybe sometimes the nation state should have jobs instead of the, private capital that totally has our best interests in mind.
Well, of course they have our best interest. That's why you can tell it all just kind of trickles down.
There's nothing at all wrong with insulin prices.
Reagan had a lot of good. Reagan did a lot of good things. He did a lot of bad. My personal favorite thing about him, and to be humorous, is his voice. I'm sorry, it's beautiful.
My favorite thing about him was that he'd be influenced by the last person he talked to in the room. So people would wait and try to wait each other out to be the last person to talk to Reagan. And that's how we got Iran-Contra.
Why? I just had Latin class yesterday, and I did a little Latin homework today, so I just thought contra Iranium. I don't know why I thought that, like against Iran.
You have the language learning pill, like brain pills
Yeah,
or worms
like
or whatever.
I just imagine like Ronald
me with
Reagan.
German, I'm learning German right now, and so I'm trying to get my brain to wrap around it, so I just start thinking it
No,
randomly.
I just imagine like Ronald Reagan writing a Thomistic style paper like contra Iranium against Iran.
That's he was not that smart. It's
Reagan or
Reagan.
Thomas Aquinas?
The Reagan.
Okay, thank God. I was about to
Easily
go
Reagan.
off.
No, I like Thomas Aquinas.
Why would we think Thomas Aquinas was not smart? Like,
I don't know.
He's,
I
he
heard
had
really-
good philosophy. Like, what?
I don't know. I have theology on the brain. I was ready to go off. My bad. I'm tired. I'm getting ready for mass
Really?
tomorrow. It's everything. No, I actually recently was joined to the group me of the Thomistic Institute. Some guys who I met in my line class, we just stayed for an hour after class in the same room talking about political theology. It was incredible.
Nice.
No, but if since I guess I am the official traditionalist Catholic theocratic monarchist of MOA, I am the representative of the chronically online Catholics. That is my
Well,
You
you're
need
not.
to be
You're,
debate
no,
ready.
no. You're not. You're not the chronically online Catholics, though. They left. They all left.
They all
Thomas, you don't. Okay, I remember trying to
I
walk you through
don't-
how to launch
yeah.
Minecraft. You are not terminally online.
Yeah, I
okay,
remember. Like, yeah.
It's
You
Okay,
would not. If you can't even. I'm sorry. Like a launching Minecraft is like the baseline.
Yeah, like you're not
To be
terminally
fair, I
online, my
got
friend. You're just like a
confused.
weird nerd. Like,
No, I'm chronically online and I constantly study online.
yeah, that's
The only
different.
time
That's being a weird
There's a
nerd.
very big difference.
Okay, Thomas, you're using the internet like someone in the late '90s would use the fucking internet. Like,
No,
that's
I-
what level you're on.
Like yeah,
Hey.
that's how I use the internet.
Reject
Like-
modernity, embrace tradition. Go back to the 90s internet.
Actually, on that, Section 230, I stand by its death.
What's section
Like-
230?
It's the one where it says, like, okay, if it's removed, basically, the owners and operators of websites would be held liable for things posted on their website.
If it's removed,
Like, let's just say Elon Musk owns Twitter, right? Twitter, someone decides to post, child pornography on Twitter. I'm going with the extreme example. Elon
Yeah.
Musk would be liable for that. He'd be legally liable for hosting it.
well, I don't see too much of a problem with that, especially with the technology we have that can automatically filter that stuff out and ban.
Yeah.
Because we do have that technology. If that was to pass, I would blame him for that it hasn't advanced.
Yeah, like,
But,
but that's
yeah.
also still a huge issue on like Twitter. Like, there's been more complaints about it, like about CP and stuff like that online. But Section 230 would also mean, like, let's just say someone posted libel on Facebook. Facebook would also be liable in a libel lawsuit.
Well, that's pretty based. Libel is spreading more and more.
Yeah, it'd kill the internet in the way of like it being these like nebulous social media networks. It would kill social media essentially.
Yeah.
Which is pretty based.
Like,
Social
like,
media guy. I have
like-
to be on it for my dream future
being
political.
forced to unplug because of Section 230, like being removed, I think would probably be the best answer to handle the human neurosis epidemic. Like,
Yeah, it would be. We could go back. If really anyone wants to debate, they have to go to like the university and start debating and go to them, like parliamentary style.
or
No
going to
more
the bar.
looking at a laptop.
Like, it's the issue of people are terminally online, alienated, angry, don't really know what to do. It's not that most people are terminally online, but people are still addicted to the internet.
Yeah.
Because the internet's built to be addictive, and it's also built to be fairly exploitive, which kind of can circle back to labor. Like, one thing I'd want to mention is Roblox. Roblox is a huge issue with child exploitation, not just in terms of like whatever you'd expect with grooming on there, but also labor laws, where a lot of children work for real money with other people. It's a weird situation.
So it's not Robux, it's actual money.
Well, it's Robux that then they exchange for real money. So there's
wow.
whole things where like basically corporations and conglomerates form up of these
And
children.
I thought Roblox Mass was weird and like not good, but now we have this.
No, like the Roblox is kind of like Gary's model, where people like you mean mass like Catholic mass?
Yeah, like they have Roblox Mass.
No, is that like done by official church or just people doing it?
It's called the Dice, either the Archdiocese or Diocese of Roblox. My friend told me about it, and I looked it up. It's an actual real thing, and I think they do it on Thursday to not coincide with actual Mass.
Is it ran by a real church?
Say it again.
Is it ran by a real priest? Or
run by the Catholic Church. It's
okay.
literally just someone's like, we should have Mass in Roblox.
Yeah, no, like
why go to Roblox Mass on Thursday if you can go to daily Mass? Just
because you can live in it in the virtual. There's like the internet is a reality that people engage with to the point where they're able to live like whole lives online and feel actualized from that. Or no, they feel the essence of actualization. They are not truly actualized. They never feel whole.
That's why I didn't bring my VR set with Blades and Sorcery to college. I'm glad I did.
It gets worse than that because like there's whole online communities that are people that have just been there for decades.
Yeah.
And they've never really left it because they get all their social actualization from there. It's also why sexual neuroticism is so common online. Like when it comes down to stuff like
because they don't have that physical engagement that they're supposed to have.
It's like humans forget that they're in a society when everyone is faces on screens.
Yeah.
You cannot humanize the other element.
And the human body and the human psyche is not meant for that. We were never meant for something like the internet.
Like the closest we got for the internet that we're built for is like meditation at max. Like this is like some metaphysics shit that we were never built in mind for.
Yeah. But if I may, because we did get off topic, that's my fault. As the traditionalist Catholic theocratic monarchist, I feel like I do have to give the Catholic take on labor.
I need to make a request to you, Thomas.
Yes.
I want you to stop saying that because every time you say that, it gives me
Vietnam War flashback.
No, it gives me Charles York vibes because he would always say, "I was the resident Jacobin," and I wanted to punch him in the face every time he said it. So stop saying that, please.
Yeah. Jacobins are Republican French revolutionaries.
No, the one with the British.
That's Jacobite.
Jacobite. Sorry.
It's all right. Okay, fine. I will stop saying it.
Yeah.
As the theologian of this, as the kind of
you little rat, you little rat.
You're not even the freaking chaplain.
Yeah, no, he's not a chaplain. He's a
theologian. I know, I'm messing. I want to
say your piece.
Fine. Okay. So specifically, a lot of Catholics don't really understand the Catholic take on economics. And of course, with all good things in the Catholic faith, there's a middle ground. We do believe in the golden medium. I once debated a Catholic who said Pope Leo XIII was wrong on laissez-faire capitalism, but not on communism and socialism, which, again, this is a very conservative Catholic. Good man. But I personally felt was like, okay, you're just picking and choosing what makes you better than a liberal. So Pope Leo XIII says in Rerum Novarum, in Rerum Novarum, which is I'm trying to remember the Latin, of revolution, or something of revolution, or rights and duties of capital and labor. He says he affirms the rights of the poor and the obligations of the most fortunate toward them, and he declares it immoral to exercise pressure upon the indignant and the destitute for the sake of gain, to gather profit out of the needs of another, and to deny workers just wages and suitable working conditions. And he affirms the rights of labor. Again, I have a business family, and again, we are pretty skeptical of unions, especially how they're done today. So reading that was like a culture shock. And he says in here, I can't find the specific part, but I can remember it briefly, where he says that socialism, while has some truths in it, is a completely distorted system too, and goes on how even if we can't allow the bourgeois to exploit the worker, we can't just take away all property. We do have a right to property. And as far as I read in Rerum Novarum, he actually does kind of take the corporatist view. Again, Catholics have a lot of freedom when it comes to economics, politics, etc. We cannot be laissez-faire capitalists. That has been condemned. We can't be communists or socialists, fascists, Nazis. But in this, I personally take, because again, we have freedom with it, the middle ground. I do believe in that corporatist system a little. I believe in more distributist, where things should be done at the lower level, but the higher up has near absolute to absolute power to step in. And that is personally why I like one of the reasons I like monarchy, again, because their social role was to defend the lower classes, as well as, I don't know, having a peasant appeal to the king and the king being merciful is kind of a cool look.
A good legitimizer.
It is, yeah.
But here's the thing, a good legitimizer.
Yeah.
One of the things is that Remnant of Arm did play a role in the ideological development of corporatism. It existed before that with like Schlegel, but Remnant of Arm was an influence on how it formalized itself.
Yeah, Pope Leo XIII was actually mocked for being too liberal. And again, we get that constantly in the Catholic Church, like, oh, that Pope is too conservative or he's too liberal, when in reality the Church is neither. It's not supposed to be either.
The Church just is.
The Church is literally just is, bro. No, again, it's so hard to talk to Catholics specifically. It's like they say you have to be conservative, you have to be liberal. It really depends on your terms. Like Pope Leo XIII's policies in Rerum Novarum would be considered liberal. St. Pius X's teachings on modernism would be considered conservative. And that is where my specific problem comes in with Catholics who say, oh no, you can be a laissez-faire capitalist. Pope Leo XIII was wrong on it, but you can't be a socialist or a communist when you could really just throw it around.
Yeah. It's basically being an Easter and Christmas Catholic at that point.
Well, at that point, it makes you no better than a cafeteria Catholic. Because again, like I've had people argue, no, it's not been declared infallible. It's not ex cathedra, which is church council or ex cathedra's extraordinary magisterium. But that makes me wonder, then why not deny the church's teachings on transgenderism, contraceptives, et cetera, et cetera? Those are all ordinary magisterium. Again, I just have to deal with so much of that.
And on that note,
yeah,
we are running out of time here, so I think we should just wrap it up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Clemens, may you close this out?
I didn't. No, you don't have to stop. Like, you were still at a point. I'm still interested.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I was letting you know you should wrap it up.
Okay, my point is everyone's wrong except for me. There we go.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So true. I reject your reality and replace it with my own.
Your reality is wrong.
Listen, I'm never wrong, except when I am. But we don't need to talk about that.
No, my favorite quote to use. I may not know everything, but everything I do know, I'm right about.
So true.
It does kind of put them on your faces. Like you say, you don't know everything, but that you're right about everything. It works well. All right, I am done.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't think we can argue against that. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this wonderful episode of Monarchist Minute. We hope to see you next time. And if you want to join us and listen in live, you can join our Discord server. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all those stupid things that YouTube says we should do so that we can actually get to a bigger audience. I'll give us our closing prayer, and then we will bid you adieu. Please bow your heads with me. Lord, we thank you that we were able to come here tonight and talk about all the wonderful things that you have given us, and talk about the labor and how we should treat those around us. Thank you for forgiving us of our sins and sending your Son Jesus Christ to save us. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. Dominus vobiscum.